Good morning and Happy New Year, everybody. It's 2020. It's the beginning of the month, and it's time for a new pickups video. Let's get right into it with one brilliant piece of N64 merch here that I got as a fantastic Christmas gift. This doesn't look familiar to a lot of people, though you might have seen the meme before. This is Waluigi's Taco Stand, a reproduction based on a meme. An entire ROM was actually made based on a meme. Props to Kawase who made like Mario 64 Star Road playable on an N64 finally, and I have him to thank for that. And now I have him to thank for the existence of an actual game based on Mario 64 that stars Waluigi. It's a goofy as hell game. It's not much of a game. It's enough of a game to constitute playing it. It's basically these like 4 new levels that were made based on Mario 64 that you have to take orders of people from the Mushroom Kingdom and go find them ingredients to make their tacos. It's goofy. It's fun though. It's got Waluigi in it. What more could you ask for? I love this. I'm so happy to have this. I actually want to get somebody to make up a box for this as well, so I can display it better than even just the cartridge. But it's brilliant. I love it. A couple Switch titles here. More than anything else, actually, this month, there's some Switch titles. I haven't had much time to get to them, but you can hear that shrink wrap going. But good chunk of Switch titles. Couple that I really had high on the list of games to pick up, and still a couple more to get. I got my eye on a bunch of things. But first and foremost, I got these two Switch RPG remakes. Remaster ports, whatever you want to call them. The shrink wrap is making it super reflective. It's hard to see. But Skybound Games and Beamdog, the developer, I believe, was Beamdog, made these remastered ports, basically, of some of the best PC RPGs from the late 90s to early 2000s. Some of the games I've heard, some of the best RPGs of all time, some of the best games of all time that I've never played because I'm not a PC person. I'm literally recording this on a Mac, as I've said many times in my other videos. They did Baldur's Gate 1 and 2, not Dark Alliance. I have to keep reiterating that. It's not Dark Alliance, it's not the console games, it's the original PC games with all their DLC, and I haven't gotten that one yet, but that seemed to be the most advertised one out of all of them, so I kind of held off on that and thought maybe, people would give that one a shot and like it, or not be ready for, a 2000 era PC RPG on their Switch. But I did get, this is probably the ones that I've heard the most amazing things about: Planescape Torment and Icewind Dale. And I believe, considering that these seem to be going over well for the most part, we might get Planescape Torment. I forget what the other title would be, but there is an Icewind Dale 2. And that might be a thing that we'll get eventually. That would be awesome. And Neverwinter Nights, the first Neverwinter Nights. Oh, Neverwinter Nights 2 would theoretically be something that we would get. This is, when I saw the 3 of them, this is actually the one that I was most interested in because it seemed to have the most extra stuff in it and be kind of the latest of the RPGs. So I was like, maybe that would be the one I would get the most into. Seeing Nintendo Life's review of this, I'm a little bummed that this seems to be the weakest of the 3 ports that or the 3 port compilations that came out for these, but I'm still looking forward to trying it, and still definitely got to pick up the Baldur's Gate ones, even if I don't put hours and hours and hours into these, which is probably not what's going to happen. But really, really glad that these exist. It's super cool. Moving on, though, we get goofy Nicalis game that is based on an old Super Famicom game, I believe. This is called Umihara Kawase, and this is Umihara Kawase Fresh is the remade version of it. Kind of like we see like Flint Hook, where it's a platformer based on like grappling hooks and stuff like that. This is sort of that thing. It was like a rubber band. I don't know too much about it, but it is based on a cool old Super Famicom exclusive platformer, and definitely worth checking out. And Nicalis has really lost a lot of their luster from what I've heard based on the way that they treat some of their developers. But that's why I was glad to not buy this new and not give Nicalis my money directly. But their packaging is still really awesome and stuff that I want to pick up because of the games that they make and the packaging that they put in. Yooka-Laylee in the Impossible Lair. Now, I had no interest in this game when it was announced because I wasn't really that into Yooka-Laylee. I played it on the PS4. I haven't picked it up on the Switch. I might if I come across it because it seems right, but really I just don't care that much about the original Yooka-Laylee right now because I played it for a bit. The one that's supposed to be like Banjo-Kazooie, and I was running around in there. I was talking to the characters and everything, and it just felt like they tried to make another Banjo-Kazooie without the characters, and I was like, I'm playing all the N64 games. I have this still like really deep library of at least a dozen more 3D platformers, which are the exact kind of games that this game's trying to be like. I don't need this right now, and I don't need a second one. Yooka-Laylee in the Impossible Lair is not a 3D platformer. It is not in the style of Banjo-Kazooie. It is not like that at all. It's actually a 2D platformer in the style of Donkey Kong Country, which I think is a lot more doable and a lot more sellable nowadays, and because it's been a super popular genre. I mean, one of my favorite games that I played in the past 2-3 years was Celeste, and Rayman Legends before that, so anything like that, I'm a lot more into right now because people are doing it really well. So Yooka-Laylee in the Impossible Lair is basically a Donkey Kong Country made by the people who 24 years ago made Donkey Kong Country. And it's supposed to be great. I played a little bit of it. It's got a great feel to it. I need to play more of it because I haven't seen most of the game. But as opposed to Yooka-Laylee 1, which on the Switch is also only a limited run release, I should say. This is a full retail release and everything. I definitely, so far, would recommend this, and I would definitely recommend it over the first one at this point. I'm really looking forward to playing more of that. And then lastly, for the Switch, I had a lot of issues with this sort of weird packaging that went on with this Trine collection sort of thing. I've heard of the Trine games, for a while now. They've mostly been PC games. But I was interested in them. They were pretty much always download games. But I had, a little bit of an interest, and then I saw Trine 4 is on all consoles, physical and everything. And they did these Ultimate Collections, and they did, like, this weird thing where they did, like, 3 releases of Trine on physical for this new thing. And my understanding is there is a physical of Trine 1, 2, and 3 only that is all on the cartridge, and that is exclusive to GameStop, I believe. I could be wrong about this because it's messing me up. It has messed me up so much. Trine 4 is a physical you can get everywhere, and Trine 4 Ultimate Collection is a physical you can get everywhere. Both of those games only have a Trine 4 cartridge. And the Ultimate Collection, like I have here, has only download codes for the other 3. Now, normally that would prevent me from wanting to get, excuse me, that would prevent me from wanting to get anything that's like, well, I'm paying for these 3 games, but I'm not getting physical. But the other day it was on sale for $30 for this, for Trine 4, and the download codes for the others, and Trine 4 physical was $20. I would have got the Trine 4 and then waited to get the other 3 if I liked it. But to pay $3 and whatever for 3 more download codes and still have the Trine 4, I was pretty okay with that because the usual price on Trine 4 is $30 anyway. So I'm glad I got this. I haven't played it yet. I opened it to check out what was inside because it was heavy, heavier than if it was just download codes. But I haven't played it at all yet. Now there's 4 Trine games for me to play. We got two GameCube games here. One is the 4th and final Extreme G game. Now, I'm actually a really big fan of the Extreme G games. They're really low on the list for the type of game on the N64, but they are really good N64 futuristic racing games. Just unfortunate that the N64 has a bunch of those, and it's tough to compete, especially with Star Wars Racer that I just finished playing the other day, and is probably my favorite of those. But there's Extreme G 1 and 2 on the N64, and then there's Extreme G 3, which you probably see a lot on the PS2, GameCube, and I don't know if it's on the Xbox. I feel like one of those games that might not have made the Xbox, but you see that, and then there's another one. It's this one. It's XGRA, Extreme G Racing Association, and this is actually the fourth game, and you never see this one much because I feel like nobody realized this was a new game, or that it was definitely not that it was the fourth in a series. So yeah, all the Extreme G games are really solid from what I've played of them, and they're cool. I like them, and this is just one that you don't see as much, and I definitely just waited for the chance to buy it on GameCube. And then the other game, this is a game that has a ungodly amount of hate for it, and I understand why. It's Space Raiders for the GameCube, and it's a GameCube exclusive as far as over here. I think this is actually a port of probably like a budget title for like the PS2 or PS1 or something from Japan. And this is Taito. When like on the PS1 there was like Cubert and Centipede and even Galaga, there was Galaga and all that stuff. And it was just really, really basic, not that exciting redos of older arcade games. Well, that is what they did with this for Space Invaders. What packaged it as if it were a new game with a new name and new characters and everything. It's crazy. And if you just boil it down to just how the game plays, it's fine. It's a perfectly enjoyable game, but with very, very bad, very silly cutscenes. And as an overall package, I really love this. I know it sucks. I know it's trash. I know it's kind of a disgrace to think that they tried to get away with selling this on the GameCube, but I'm glad I have it now. I've wanted this game for a while, actually, because it's so dumb. Moving on to two DS games. Really amazing to me that I have multiple versions of Mario and Sonic Olympic games, because I used to see them and be like, oh, shovelware. I remember the Game Informer review for the first one was like a 4 out of 10. And from that point on, I looked at every Mario and Sonic Olympics game, knowing that they were made by Sega and not Nintendo, and being like, shovelware, shovelware, shovelware. Well, they're really not. Every game since then has been done better than the original one by far, to the point that like the new one on the Switch looks really cool. But this one, so there's, all the winter ones have hockey in them, which is awesome. I'm all for that. I want that. And there's like an adventure mode in the portable ones, particularly this DS one. Or it might not be in all the portable ones, but I know it's in this one. And that's why I bought this. Winter Olympic Games for the DS was for a adventure mode. That's not really the same as they do in the Wii one. And secondly, for the DS, this is a game that I've seen people talk about a lot as a hidden gem. And I kind of wish that I didn't pick it up, because I spent like more than I was usually looking to spend on DS games. I spent like almost $30 on it, which is still a fantastic price for this. It's a really good price for it. Just don't know if I needed it that bad. But it's sort of a crossover between like a Metroidvania style and like a Nintendogs pet raising thing. And this monster on the front looks like the Hormone Monstrous from Big Mouth. I just have to point that out. I can't not see it. But I've heard a lot of really good things about this. It's going to go like probably pretty deep in the backlog, but I'm glad that I have it with the case and everything, because that's kind of the kicker with me with DS games. Knowing they're going to have a case makes me a lot more apt to buy one. And that was the case with this one, literally. So yeah, a rare hidden gem type of game that people have been talking about, and has been kind of expensive. Knowing it was going to have a case, I picked it up when I had the chance. One PS1 game, kind of same thing as Monster Tale, actually, knowing that this is a popular hidden gem-ish kind of game. I know it's not great for as far as 3D platformers go, but Jersey Devil, this being just a very, very nice copy of it, I took the chance to get it, because I don't usually see Jersey Devil or these other kinds of, like, if you want to say if it's Blasto, which is another hidden gem that people talk about in the same vein, or if it's even like Kingsley's Adventure, these weird, attempted mascot games. I'm just throwing names out. This is actually in really good shape, and I'm glad that I picked it up for like 20 bucks, I think, which is like good $10 less than it usually goes for, from what I've seen. So I'm pretty happy to have this, even though it's not, like I said, it's not great. But a game I've been interested in for a long time is 3D platformer. And I got a boxed Game Boy Advance game here. I got Rayman Advance, port of the original Rayman. I paid less than $10 for it, and it was really great because it's the original Rayman, 2D Rayman with beautiful sprite work and amazing music and all that, and in a nice, decent condition. It doesn't have a tray inside, but the box is in okay shape. For a still a completed box. Let's look at the manual. Just no tray. Game Boy Advance game. A really good game. Just one 360 game. This is a sort of usually the type of game that I wouldn't really be interested in because it's a fighting game, and I like fighting games, but I have so many of them, and I never play them for very long because I can't ever get good at them. But this is a really interesting one. It also has mechs in it, and also mech games not something I'm usually that interested in unless it does something weird. So I guess by combining mech games and fighting games, things that I'm okay with but not like super into, this becomes a game that I'm like, yeah, I'll throw a couple bucks at that. It seems weird and interesting, and people seem to really like it. Wartech, Senko no Ronde, a aerial-based mech 2D fighting game, or 3D-ish, 3D fighting game. It's a cool game I've seen people talking about lately. Don't know much more about it than that, but it seems pretty cool. Glad to have more Xbox 360 games that are kind of funky type to actually pick up, because I feel like for PS3 and 360, I pretty much got about everything that I could need. 2 Xbox One games. Weird for me to pick up one Xbox One game, let alone 2, in the same month. But this is just me recently with Bull Moose, just like things that people bought in droves, in by the hundreds, and getting traded back into Bull Moose, and then just having too much of it. I'm a big fan of their general DVD racks. I just picked up the first 3 seasons of Game of Thrones for $3 a piece just yesterday from them. But they had this general $3 out stack of games, and I just took a quick look over there, and it wasn't just it wasn't just Destiny and sports games and trash and stuff that at work we see all the time. It was like Call of Duty World War II and Dead Rising 4 in there, which I was surprised that they had so many. I wasn't surprised they had so many of Call of Duty. I was a little bit surprised they had so many of Dead Rising 4, but just to grab for $3, I was like, yeah, I can't say no to it. I do still like Call of Duty in the sense that I'm interested enough to play the campaigns. I am not the high schooler that I was, middle school, high schooler, playing Call of Duty for hours on end, multiplayer. I don't have time or interest in that, but I love World War II, and it's kind of a bittersweet acknowledgement that even the campaign in this is kind of lame and kind of redundant and kind of not anything special, but they place there's 6 to 8 hours tops for the campaigns. I'm still going to play it, and I'm just glad I didn't pay that much for it, because it was just, I knew it was going to be cheap eventually. I was just waiting to see how cheap I could get it, and $3 is usually how cheap can you get something at $3. And Dead Rising 4, I mean, out of all the Dead Rising games that I've actually played a little bit of, I haven't played any of them too much. But I really like Dead Rising 3 feel and presentation and just craziness-wise the most. And from what I've heard, Dead Rising 4 is not that great, but it's a series that I really like the idea of, and so even if I never really get hooked by it, I'm glad to pick them all up to have now 1, 2, 3, 4, and off the record. I think I have all of them. So that's pretty cool. I'm just the creativity that they get in there sometimes. I'm always down to check them out. And then we'll wrap up with some PS4 games. Lastly, I actually have my eye on Prey for a long time. Prey, sort of tangentially related to the 2005 game Prey, by 3D Realms, but not really the same in any sense of the word. I think it went through like 2 or 3 reboots internally before they decided on this, but I heard really good things about it. It's going to be I never picked it up because it was just going to be like, well, when you can devote 8 to 10 hours to, a FPS campaign, Prey is going to be a good one, but just, wait until it's like under $10, and I did. And I looked it up even more afterwards, and it seems even more interesting than I thought it was. It's basically like a survival horror first-person shooter, which is not as intense as I thought it was going to be. It's by Arcane Studios, who do the Dishonored games, and also games are still on my list to check out, but they're stealth games, so I have a lot less interest. But Prey seems really cool. It's gotten great reviews. It's got it's just kind of one of those games that like comes out and is really good and gets reviewed really well, but kind of gets forgotten like right away. I think there's going to be a Prey 2, but I can't say that for sure. That's just off the top of my head. Yeah, I'll play that at some point. I don't know. This seems like sacrilege here. I actually bought a game loose from Redbox, but if you don't know, Redbox is liquidating all of their games. They're not going to do games anymore at Redbox. I never got the chance to get any Switch games from there because they only tested that in certain markets. But I did, just kind of for the piece of history that is buying a game from Redbox's liquidation of games, and being able to pay like $12 for even a disc only of a game that I know I'll play fairly soon, Wolfenstein Youngblood, which I come to realize, actually another Bethesda game, I should say, another game with Arcane on it. But a game from a series that I probably consider one of my favorite ones going. I picked up Cyberpilot and I played a little bit of that, but I really should have picked up Youngblood, and I kind of didn't want to do that for the Switch because a big download thing. Didn't want to deal with it. Probably better on the PS4, and I'll get a case for this at some point. I know I will. I know I'll be able to get one, but just kind of hopped on it to get a little Redbox piece of history here. I will play that at some point fairly soon. However, before I play that, I'm trying to wrap everything I am doing up so that I can play Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. I'm in a huge Star Wars zone right now, even before I went to the new movie and said it was actually very good. I liked Rise of Skywalker a lot. I was already super huge on Star Wars because of The Mandalorian, because of Star Wars Racer, just because of a lot of things going on. People saying this game was good, but knowing I probably wouldn't pick it up until it was under 30, but I got it for Christmas because my sister actually is a huge fan of Cameron Monaghan because of Shameless, and she was like, I'll buy it for you to support my boy Cameron. So I was like, okay, yeah, if you're going to buy me any non-Switch game, like that's the game to buy me. So to get the most out of it, I really am trying to wrap up everything I'm doing, trying to finish at least Leon's campaign on Resident Evil 2 so that I can dive headfirst into this, because this does actually look super cool. And everything that goes right with Star Wars for me at this point is just getting me more excited to play it. So yeah, and I've heard nothing but good things about it, and it's by Respawn, who made Titanfall and Titanfall 2. And I love Titanfall 2, it's great. Loads of reasons to be excited about that. But that is it. We got some Switch games. We got some new stuff. We got a couple weird old things. A little bit of everything, but not too much going on this month. And more to come in 2020. I'll see you next month for the first Pickers video of the 2020 season. Peace.